Ladies and gentlemen, after many requests, thousands, hundreds of thousands, we've finally done it. We've sat down here, set up our little studio, and are recording an episode of Pipe It Up. It's been a long time coming. We're about 80 episodes deep and never filmed one. We've always been uploading to, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, that kind of thing, and we have, our core fans, but we thought it'd be fun to give the YouTube audience a little bit of exposure for those who didn't know we existed. So for those that are new, this is the Pipe It Up podcast. Cue the intro. All right, sitting next to me, as always, is the lovely Jack Agner. Jack, welcome to the show.
Happy to be here.
Welcome to my home, my parents' home.
Yeah.
This is a little different for us. We're used to the Schultz's basement. We make the switch tonight to come over here. A little bit of a setup. We brought over the handmade MLW flag and, a little bootleg podcast setup. I don't know. What do you think?
I love it. It's a great vibe.
We got producer Kyle here.
It's comfy down here.
Getting the close-ups for us, and we got the other camera on a tripod. So, hey, you can set up whatever you want. I actually looked into getting like an actual podcast studio for this episode for a little, a different look, a little more professional setup, because we actually have one local to us. And, I'm not going to call them out. I don't want to bash their business or anything. But guess how much this would have cost us to film?
To rent?
Yeah, all they had was a 1 month option. You could do one a week there. Guess how much the price was?
For a month?
Yeah.
Like $5,000?
Okay, no.
Is that high?
That's a little high.
Okay.
But I still think it was too high. It ended up being, including, they were going to record it for you, and I think they were going to edit your podcast and your footage.
Okay.
It was once per week, for 4 weeks, and it was $600.
Oh, wow. I was way off.
You were really high, but in my opinion, the reason we didn't do it, because that's still too high.
Yeah, that's
I'm
pretty
thinking
high.
in my head, if you're starting a podcast, let's say, and you want to buy yourself a camera, audio interface, and a couple microphones, that'll maybe, if you get like nice stuff, not really cheap stuff, if you get decently nice stuff, not top of the line, not the worst, but stuff that's good enough, it'll probably run you around, I'd say, $2,000, maybe a little more. So that'd only be 4 months in the podcast studio.
Right.
And yeah, I guess they edit it for you and stuff like that, but to me, just invest it in your own, then you could use it for years.
Absolutely,
instead of paying $600 a month. I mean, that's a nice car payment right there.
Yeah,
But,
and you can do it somewhere simple like here in your basement.
Well, that's what I was telling Kyle, is like, if that was located in like a major city, or maybe like celebrities and big names are passing through, it's like, okay, let's meet at this studio and record.
Right.
It makes sense, and they have big budgets too for that kind of thing. But for like a local podcast like us, like,
No.
I can't see that being an option. So that's why I was surprised they have one local to us, because we're not in like a major city or anything like that.
That's pretty cool. I didn't even know that was in the area.
Yeah. I'm curious to see how long they stay in business.
Well, once we get to the big time, then maybe we'll have, when we have some pretty famous guests on, we'll have to maybe check out the
once
studio.
we're bringing on Tom Brady to the Pipe It Up podcast, then
Yeah.
we'll be sure to get a studio. So I dream of that day coming up soon. But we got a fun show planned out for everybody today, Jack. I wanted to make this episode special.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're recording it. It's a different feeling. I'm a little nervous, to be honest. I'm not used to
I'm
the
a little
cameras.
nervous, too.
I'm not used to the cameras pointing at us. It's usually just me and Jack sitting in some hoodies, hoods up, just talking on a Monday evening. Now we're doing this, and we got the bright lights on us. We got the cameras rolling. It's a lot different feeling, but I wanted to plan a good show. So we got some guests lined up. We got some fun segments lined up and other things that are a little bit out of the ordinary for Pipe It Up. But we had to bring the best of the best today, right? And I'm hoping you guys enjoy the show. I mean, it's definitely a different kind of upload for us. Kind of similar to what we did on MLW Live years ago, which then kind of evolved into this weekly podcast that we do now. And now we're bringing it back to YouTube for a little bit of a trial run, I'd say. So let us know if you guys like it. But me and Jack got a monitor in front of us here. And we'll pop up everything that we're seeing for you guys to see on the screen. But the first thing we wanted to do is review some of the best MLW memes from the past season. So I reached out to a big fan of ours. I think his Instagram is DarkMLW.
Oh, yeah.
Very active in the MLW Twitch chat, the Discord, that kind of stuff. So I reached out to him and said, hey, send me a bit of your favorite MLW memes from the past year so me and Jack can react to them live. And,
gosh.
So I got him up here on the monitor, Jack. Are you ready?
I'm ready. I can only imagine what these are going to be.
All right, here's the first one. It's good. It's Liam Jackson saying it's game 3 and then the Magic logo. No. I mean, I feel bad for Liam on this, but honestly, this could apply to me too. I went in there a couple times early in the season as a number 2 pitcher and just did horrible. I'm sure the Mallards fan base is like, oh God, not again. But I think me and Kyle at the Meadows, everyone watching at home saw Liam taking the mound for a second or third time. We're all like, Oh boy, here we go again.
Yep, here we go again. It was a tough season on the mound for LJ, but we made some moves, got it done.
Yeah, I mean, I felt for the kid, and like I said, I had a very similar experience this year to where I felt like I was pretty. I'm not saying I was elite in 2019 or in 2020, but me and Liam were both solid the year prior.
Yeah.
And coming out this year, neither one of us could find the strike zone. It was painful for him to watch, for him to play, and I'm sure, but he's a great kid. And
that's funny.
Lucky for him, though, Magic got Bonham, so I don't think he'll have to do too much more pitching in the future.
Probably not.
But Liam, we feel for you. Sorry, buddy.
It's good to at least look back and be able to laugh on it.
You gotta just joke about it. That's all. All right. Speaking of bad pitching, how about this one? No one, not a soul. Shima's pitching delivery. I got to roll a clip of Shima pitching. I'll be honest, I saw this meme and was like, is it really that bad? When you watch him throw it, he literally shot puts it. And the sad thing is he almost beat the Mallards. He almost beat my team. We were losing up until we were down to our last out. Then we got a little rally together, but the guy, it looked like he had never thrown a baseball or wiffle ball in his life.
I can't even really make fun of him because mine is not much better, and I can't even begin to locate the strike zone. So
I give him
this
credit.
Is a pretty funny
I
meme.
give him credit for going out there in front of thousands of people watching online and giving it his best. And he almost got a win.
Absolutely.
He really got close.
Absolutely.
All right, moving on. Oh, Kyle. This graphic. I've seen this graphic get memed a couple times. I think when Kyle first posted this, there was someone who commented like, gosh, I thought Kyle died for a second. Because of the black and white and he's looking down. But it's tough.
That's pretty fun. That's so that's.
I mean, it's
just hilarious.
It's a cool picture, and when I first saw it with the black and white filter, I thought it was sweet. But then once some people started talking about how it looked like depressing, like I kind of saw it too.
I was gonna say, to me in color, this picture is like a really dope picture, but as soon as you put this filter on, it does look pretty sad. It looks like Kyle is contemplating many things that have just happened.
Yeah, it looks like a picture that like Bleacher Report posts in like breaking. Kyle Schultz has been released by the Western Wildcats kind of thing.
Breaking. Kyle Schultz will be placed on IR for the rest of the season.
That's exactly what it looks like. But no, I think this is a perfect little caption for it.
That's funny.
All right, another Wildcat here, victim of a dark meme. Sailor's a scary hitter, and I see why. If I'm pitching to that guy and I saw that face, I'm not sure what I would do.
Dude, Sailor. I'm honestly not surprised to see a meme of Sailor's face on this because some of the faces he makes when he hits and when he strikes out are just all time. There were a couple that I had seen on like TikTok or whatever of the best pitches, and I think it was Dan. With Dan.
Yeah, it was Oklahoma.
Nick is just all time with the faces. He's always locked in, but that's hilarious. That's a great meme right there. Never zero. Okay. Shout out Nick. Have we heard from Nick yet? Nick.
Yeah. At the time we've heard from him. Okay, we've made contact with Nick Sailor.
Okay, that's good.
Okay. Yeah, he's a scary kid. He's a nice kid, but he makes
not a murderer.
Yeah, he's not a murderer, and he's alive and well. Apparently, we've heard from him. So, next.
Oh, Dan.
This is when Dan first grew the beard coming into the 2021 season, and I think it was a shock to people because when he exited the previous season, and then he showed him in the documentary, Dan just has this big bushy beard, and everyone's like, "Whoa!" And it was in the off season, so that's why this meme makes so much sense. But now it's even fuller than that now. Dan's got a great beard nowadays.
Is he growing it back out again?
Oh, it's thick.
I haven't seen him in a minute.
Last time I saw it, it was very thick.
I think people just don't like to see Dan with the beard because they know him as like the younger brother. That's
why I think it came as a shock because people have been watching us for so long. Think of Dan as the 10-year-old kid on the Eagles,
right?
And then when they saw Dan come out with the documentary in the full beard, they're like, "Gosh,
that's
what happened to little Dan?"
He did clean it up though when MLW started.
Oh yeah, he did. True. He cleaned it up a bit. Yeah. It was his that was his winter coat. The beard.
I can't hate on Dan too much as a beard man, letting it go untamed for a minute.
Nothing wrong with
I've been very guilty.
You got to let it go every once in a while just to see what you can do. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You have to let it see its potential.
I don't know if I can do this to myself, but I should pop up a picture right now of me trying to grow facial hair. I once let my mustache go for like 7 days, and I was a threat to society.
Really? Really?
No, in a bad way.
Oh, I'd like to see that.
All right.
All right,
next.
let's see.
Oh,
I've seen this
the
one.
Curdy clan.
I've seen this one.
Where are you at? Dude,
Oh,
anybody
King Curdy.
but Curdy. Can you believe
Dude,
that?
that is so
Jimmy,
awesome.
That's what makes it so funny. I've said this before on older episodes, but like Norp having the season of like the league, like the best season we've ever seen from any single player, and then Curdy comes out there, doesn't even get that much playing time, hits a walk-off bomb to keep the Magic in the hunt.
Yeah,
An elite moment.
It's like you couldn't even make that story up, you know,
couldn't.
if you tried.
Just the
This kid has
reaction.
been a walking meme the whole season. Comes in at such a big moment.
I don't really
and
know him that well, but he
hits a
seems like
shot
a
like that.
hilarious guy. Maybe
He's
you know him better than I
awesome.
do.
He's awesome.
Yeah,
He's
super nice.
He's a great great sport to have on the team. And I was so happy for him when he hit that. It
Oh,
was
me
awesome.
too. I'm so mad. I missed one regular season series all year of MLW, and
it.
that was the one. And I was so upset.
So hyped.
I know.
One of the most electric
Everyone's
moments
texting me
in
after,
my
like,
career.
Yeah, you and Kyle were texting me like, dude, you just missed the moment of the year. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me, of course.
Absolutely.
But that's
It was crazy.
That's just how that one went. Thanks again to Dark for providing us with these memes. Go check him out on Instagram for more content like this. He had to throw one final jab at me and one final meme, I guess you could say. Here's a screenshot of our messages. He said, also don't forget the best meme of them all, the 2021 Mallards season. I mean, I can't be too upset about it, but I mean, let's talk about that. Why not? We'll talk about the Mallards season. It was a rough one, and I think for a multitude of reasons. Even though we started off 2-1, feeling good, started off 3-1, beat the Predators too, and then we ended up losing. Our next? We lost 10 games in a row, and then we won one to end the year off of Shima, so off of the shot put pitcher.
The shot put.
So I wanted to bring Caden on the show today, talk about the Mallard season a little bit with me, as he was kind of my partner in crime this year out there,
Alrighty.
blowing games with me. I wanted to get Caden here in person, actually, but we got a little winter ice storm here in Michigan, so he was unable to make the trip. But we got him virtually. Let's see if we can get him in here. All right, Caden, welcome to the show, my man.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate you coming on for the first ever filmed episode of Pipe It Up, so it's a big deal. We're glad to have you here as our first guest.
Glad to be on. Let's do it.
Okay, so we just went through a series of memes about MLW provided to us from a fan, and we concluded with him saying the largest meme of the 2021 season was the Midwest Mallards. So I wanted to bring you on here, first of all, introduce you to the Pipe It Up listeners, as well as just talk about last year. I mean, I think it's not even the elephant in the room at this point. I've made plenty of jokes about it as we finished 4-11, but let's just go to the beginning. I draft you. We have very high hopes for our team, obviously, and we start off 3-1. Did you think you had a chance to win the whole thing at that point? Because that's kind of how I was feeling. I'm like, dang, we're rolling.
Yeah, I was like, after the first Preds game, I was like, man, we just scratched. We already beat Kyle, Sailor, and them in a series, and I was like, all right, well, I mean, if we win this series, I feel 4-2 at worst.
Yeah.
Or, you know what I mean? Like, we'll be fine.
Yeah.
And then the wheels kind of started to fall off a little bit.
we lost all four wheels.
Yes.
We were grinding down the road. But I don't know, you've played a lot of wiffle ball in other leagues, other tournaments around the years, and this isn't going to hurt my feelings at all, but just after those first 4 games, what do you think went wrong, or just a combination of everything?
After our first 4?
After the first 4, yes.
I don't know. I think I almost got too comfortable. You know what I mean? I was satisfied with where we were, and we didn't improve anymore. And then everybody else was improving as the year went along. And I think everybody was coming off of not playing wiffle ball for a long time, so everybody was just kind of blah, you know what I mean? No one was in the flow yet, and we kind of started out already in a flow, and then we didn't continue growing, I guess. Would be the way that I felt.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a good insight. I feel like
it's true. It also, there was a lot of things that went wrong, like Caden said, but we lost our flow. I think was a good thing to say. We were very out of sync, and me and Caden didn't really know each other at all before.
Right.
We met each other opening day. Our first game we met. We had talked on the phone for 30 seconds before that. That was it. Didn't know him, and I didn't see you at all the entire summer besides our games. So I was with this kid 5 times the whole year. Didn't know him, and honestly, same with Trevor. Me and Trevor were never really together outside of the game. So team chemistry thing, we saw the D-backs had it so strong. I feel like we really didn't have it in the Mallards organization, which is my fault mainly. But it also sucked because I was always scared to go out and practice because I was hurt. I had that strained pec last year. So not only was I not performing for my team as good as I should be because I can't pitch, I could pitch, but I didn't practice at all the offseason because I was hurt. I also was being a crappy manager because I was always like scared to organize practices and stuff like that, or just it was just hard for me to get hyped up. You know what I mean? Because I was always out there in the back of my head saying, "Don't hurt yourself," because it's not worth getting too hurt. So maybe I should have sat out last year. I really don't know, but we got through it, and I think I did get more confident hitting at least. So that should be a plus moving forward. But fast forwarding to near the end of the year, Caden, where the wheels have fallen off. We're now at this point we are 3-9, I believe, heading into our final series. When I texted you, we were going to trade Trevor Bonham. Was that a move you were in favor of, or did you think, what is Tommy doing?
I was like, I was sad because Trevor and I, we all kind of grew a little bit as teammates, and we were excited to play together. But I was like, well, I trust whatever you decide. And if that's what's going to hopefully help us in the future, you know what I mean? I'm fine with that. And I think Trevor, it was the best of both worlds. I think he's really happy with where he's at while also being sad of leaving too. So I think it was almost bittersweet, but I think it'll work out in the long run for us. Possibly depends on what happens, next year. We'll see.
Yeah. I mean, it was definitely a risk. I wasn't like I was.
Yeah.
It's not like this is the NFL where you see these college football prospects coming up saying, okay, we're going to trade for these draft picks knowing we're going to go after this guy. You know what I mean? I wish it was that black and white, but it's harder to find these diamonds in the rough of these wiffle ball players coming up. But at the same time, just with the chemistry and everything, I just felt like it was probably mutually beneficial for both sides for us to just wipe the slate clean of this year's rottenness and also let Trevor go play with some of his friends he's had for the better part of his life, and on a team that's in playoff contention after he's having his best year. And that way you and I can just come back next year with hopefully a good couple counterparts and turn this ship around, because I don't know. Like I said, I thought, especially with me being healthy, I feel like we had 3 great players. I thought, I'm not saying you still aren't. Time will tell. But I thought you were the best player coming out of the draft class. I was like, I have the best guy at number 2 here. I thought Trevor was becoming an elite arm in the league. I was a veteran. I was like, we are so talented, and I felt that way even when we were losing games. But it just wasn't. It just wasn't working. It really just wasn't working, so why not try to shake things up? Maybe, I'm not going to speak this into existence, but if next year goes worse, I guess it's my fault. It's my fault. But
do you think that both you guys, since wiffle ball, we've talked about it so much, how wiffle ball is just a game of inches, and a couple of plays a different way can really change the outcome of the season. Do you think your problems were rooted deeper than that, or you guys just kind of got unlucky a little bit this year with with more games than you had hoped, obviously?
Go ahead, Kate.
I think it was just a combination. Sorry, Tom. I think it was a combination of both, I guess. It almost snowballed. A couple of our losses were 1 run, or something happened and then we couldn't come back from it, and then it was just oh my god, it happened again. And then it happened again. We're
thing.
Oh my gosh, this sucks, man. What are we doing?
Yeah.
And then it was just a snowball effect, and then we were just kind of almost in that mindset, oh crap, when's it gonna happen again? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can see that.
The big switch that I felt too was, it felt like when we came out at the beginning of the season, it was a very new team for me. I'm used to having Noah and Steve next to me, and now it was Trevor and you. So it was already a very new look team, but it felt like we were all kind of feeding off of each other early on in the season. And I think we set the tone opening day when I made those errors, and then Trevor hit a go-ahead grand slam. I was like, wow, he just picked it big time, and that wasn't something Trevor was doing in his rookie season. He didn't have the big hits like that, so it was awesome, and I was super excited. I was like, wow, Trevor just hit a clutch grand slam there. And then moving on to the Preds Series, the very first game, we get down in the hole after Trevor gave up a few runs, and then me and you both homered to give us that win. I'm like, wow, we're finding a way to win these tough games. But then once we lost a couple, call those Preds losses what they were. We lost those 2 games, whatever. I don't think we did anything terribly wrong there. Moving on to the next series, though, I feel like we just, after we lost another one to make it 3 in a row, we kind of just lost our confidence as a team, especially at the plate, to whereas it felt like the Mallards I was playing on in 2020, where I was like, okay, if I don't get this hit here, if I don't hit a home run, then we're screwed because everyone else is striking out. I think all 3 of us in that lineup felt like that because no one was getting the big hit anymore. So it was just a lot of pressure, and it wasn't a great environment. It was dang, we're all just striking out. Everyone was trying to be the hero type of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
Kind of just a domino effect all around of the season.
It was not good. It was not good. But
no, it stunk.
I'm excited though for the opportunity to prove some people wrong moving forward. You know what I mean? This is
right.
This is definitely an important draft for us, and me and Caden as well. Like, we've grown a lot as friends since the conclusion of this season because, like I said, we only hung out at the Meadows briefly during those games. But then, kind of by accident, we ended up having to travel together to the tournament, the MLW Wiffle Ball tournament in Peoria, Illinois. So that was 6 hours both ways. It just Caden and I in a car together. So that forced us to get to know each other and become better friends. It was great bonding.
Yeah,
we needed that. Awesome. We needed that road trip before the season started. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think that was probably a great thing long term for our relationship and for our team chemistry. But how important is this draft for us, Caden? We have 2 picks here, crucial picks, obviously, including the number 1 overall thing. So we no longer have Trevor. We know that I have the potential to pitch. We've seen that you can get it over. What do you think? What's going to save this franchise? What's going to help us turn it around completely?
I think, like you said, it's kind of hard with a diamond in a rough, but just 2 guys that, obviously are good at wiffle ball, and that I don't think necessarily can do it all, but are good at certain things that can piggyback off of what you and I have shown now that we haven't done it all the time. Like last season, it was only here and there, but that can bond quickly with us. Cause like you said, that was part of the thing too. We just weren't all together the whole time. So being able to just kind of mesh really quick and then being able to, kind of feed off of what we don't necessarily do well, or someone that can step up when someone else is down the entire season. So it's kind of hard to determine that when you don't really know the draft class that well, but just something along those lines.
We're on the hunt. I'm on the prowl looking for a potential couple of birds out there. You know what I mean?
I like
Put on the duck uniform. Definitely a lot of pressure. It's important. I feel it. I hear the little jabs I get from the fans at the tournament saying, "What happened? What happened to the Mallards, Tommy?" Come on, I'm trying to forget about that. You know what I mean? So,
I think the one of the underlying stories here from this season was just morale and chemistry. We've said it a few times. So I think, regardless of who you draft this year, it's going to have to be mandatory that you guys go to Brighton Bowl and build a little bit of chemistry at least twice, maybe before the season starts. Get that in there, start gelling a little bit.
It's definitely important and something I was lacking because I guess I was never put in that situation,
Yeah.
I was always playing with my friends and, it is just wiffle ball. And it's hard to make time and, make it a priority to try to get people together who live, maybe an hour apart each of them. So but I think it's crucial, it's crucial to try to make that relationship because when Kyle and I were playing together, it was easy.
Oh, yeah, that was, you guys are neighbors.
Seamless chemistry. We know each other our whole lives. Same thing with Noah and my other Mallards teammates like Steve. Even brought in Austin Ford, Nate Lies, guys like that. I've known them for years and years. So it was a whole lot different when I knew Trevor for, like I said, 5 games the previous year, and then just Caden we met that day. So it's a big transition, a good learning experience, I guess. And the one positive out of it is I can potentially, if we can turn this thing around, it'd be a pretty cool story. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
I told Jack already on this podcast once before that, I don't think pitching in wiffle ball is not something I would recommend anyone do for their entire life, especially if you're playing fast pitch competitive wiffle ball. But and I'm at the point where saying I could just draft a pitcher and not throw anymore like I did last year because I was hurt. Why try to relearn? But I feel like I owe it to myself. I owe it to this game to try. I got to give this one more shot. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I know you have it.
And I said I was going to start January 1st. Now we're past the new year a little bit, but then I hurt my knee curling. It's better now. But now you see this, Jack? You see this on my face?
Yeah.
That's another injury I got to tell you about.
Oh, gosh.
But, anyway.
Oh, my goodness.
It's a minor. It's all minor. We're healthy, kids. We're healthy over here. We had a good leg workout yesterday, and I gotta get back in the lab, get back on the mound, and figure this thing out. Because I think if we want to be good, we need to have 2 arms, and I probably should be one of them. So.
But I think a lot of the things that happened after our last series have been good towards what we need to do, having the national tournaments and our road trip out to Illinois. They're all trending in the right direction at least. So
yeah.
Which is
buy
good.
Mallard stock right now if you're smart.
Buy the dip.
Buy it right now. Buy it right now because it's about to go to the moon.
Yeah, I hope so. I'll do what I can. Do a little insider trading there, if you know what I mean. But Caden, thanks for joining us, man. It was good to see you. Bummer you couldn't be here in person today, but glad we could get you on the line. And looking forward to next year, man.
Yeah, thanks, man. Appreciate it. See you guys.
Thanks, Caden.
Talk to you later. All right, Jack, bringing it back in here. Obviously, a big draft for the Mallards, as we just talked about, but other teams have a lot at stake too here. What other you think teams have the most pressure, I guess, like heading into the draft for next year?
Well, other than the Mallards, I think two teams that I don't know if pressure is the right word, but this draft's very important for them, in my opinion, would be the Predators and the Cobras.
Okay.
The Predators have the second pick, I believe, similar to the Mallards last year. And, obviously they fell short of making the playoffs this year. I think a big reason for that was just their lack of support at the plate for Ryan Kratch on the mound. Ryan kind of, got dinged a little bit by the fans. A lot of people didn't think that he was having really his best year, which maybe it wasn't. But I think a lot of it had to do with just the Preds not getting those timely hits as they had in years past.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think the Preds, could, if they are able to find another really solid clutch hitter in this draft, could easily go from a team who didn't make the playoffs back into that World Series talk, in my opinion.
Yeah, I was going to say the Preds, too, is an important draft for them. But I also think, too, just next year for the Preds is important in general because it's a talented team. They got McGlade in free agency last year. Turned out to be a pretty good pickup for them.
Yes.
The kid could, no problem, throwing strikes, threw right at the top of the speed limit, and kept hitters off balance as kind of a new arm in the league. But Kratch, on the other hand, I think got frustrated by the speed limit a bit. And you saw it play a part in some of those key series late down the stretch in last year. So if he can adjust to that, kind of clear his head mentally to the point where he refocuses, makes a serious commitment to adjusting to that and learning how to be effective with it, I think he's still a Cy Young candidate. He has the stuff.
Yeah, I think he will. I think Ryan has that ability to kind of recalibrate, figure it out, deal with the radar gun. But if they're not able to put it together at the plate, then it will, all be for naught. So I feel like just them adding one more crucial hitter to their lineup, mixing in there, will be really important for them. And I think it's kind of similar to the Cobras as well. Now, I don't think the Cobras need as much help hitting, but they're always, similar to the Magic have been in the past. Like, I feel like they're just one piece away from being in that contention. All of these teams now in the league are really great and have a shot to win the World Series, some more than others, I think. But I think the Cobras, if they can just pick up one more sort of guy who just has that it factor, on their team, they could be really, really dangerous team because they showed their hitting, especially late at the end of the season, how good they can be hitting. So if they're, able to maybe pick up a solid pitcher to kind of support Drew a little bit, they could go from a team that, might not have it all put together this year to a team that is contending for the World Series next year.
Yeah. Drew Davis quietly had a very good season last year.
Very good season.
I mean, I think some of the big MLW fans noticed that just from his numbers alone. Hit a lot of home runs, hit for average, pitched well. But, the Cobras just can't seem to put it all together and really put together a championship season. So they make the playoffs this year, a step in the right direction compared to 2020, but still not enough for this Cobras franchise. This Cobras fan base is dying for a championship. Or at least another World Series appearance, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Drew has the talent. I think he's another guy that can be affected, by little things, like such as maybe a radar gun or a call not going his way. He's a guy that's known to be very emotional, which plays in his favor. I think a day where it played in his favor was against the Magic. He had like 4 home runs off of Bonham. That was just pure confidence, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he has the talent to do that. But I think he can also get down on himself and frustrated, and that can affect him negatively. So if he can avoid those, 1 or 2 bad innings in big games, I don't see why they couldn't make it to the World Series this year.
Yeah, I think so. I agree with
Baranowski also had a decent showing last year. I wouldn't say he was elite in this league, but a decent showing. And he's been putting in a lot of work since the MLW season ended. He's playing in other leagues, other tournaments around the country, and he's performing very well.
Yeah.
So he's a good player. I think he just needs to get more acclimated to the MLW style of play.
Yeah,
So.
I thought he was a great draft pick for them. I think that he's going to be one of those guys that has a big sophomore year.
Yeah.
I think that he can really, if he can solidify himself on the mound, they'll be a dangerous team.
Yeah, I totally agree. Totally agree. All right, it is now time for the cue of the day.
Cue of the day.
For those of you who are new to Pipe It Up here, every single episode we do a cue of the day where a fan can submit a question to us for Jack and myself about MLW in general. It can be a personal question, whatever. We like to just talk about it and have a little discussion. So today, we're actually welcoming on a fan, Cameron O'Keefe, to Pipe It Up. Cameron, thanks for joining us.
No problem, guys. Thanks for having me.
So what question do you have for us today?
Okay, so my first question for Tommy would be, so we have you guys finished 4-11 this year. You missed I'm not trying to beat you down or anything.
It's all good.
Don't worry. So my question for you is, you have the first overall pick in the draft. What are you going to go after pitching? Or are you going to go after hitting, utility player? Do you have any idea how you're going to approach this draft?
It's a good question, and believe it or not, actually, Caden and I kind of just discussed how important this draft pick is, and I feel the pressure from the fan base to make a good decision here. I don't think people were pleased with Caden's performance last year. I don't think he was or myself was either, but I still think Caden has so much potential to be a great player in this league. So this year at number 1, we're returning Caden and myself. We also still have Brendan Davenport on our roster, but I really want to add just some firepower. You know what I mean? And to be completely honest with you, at number 1 overall, I don't think there's any reason why we can't get a guy who can do both. I want a guy who can be a potential starting pitcher in this league and can also be a phenomenal hitter. It's way easier said than done, but we've seen guys like Chris Cheatham, Jimmy Norp come out of draft classes, Baranowski, who can do both. So I think when you're in the top 3 picks of this draft, I think that's what you have to have your eyes on, is a guy who can do both, right? Now, if I had to choose one or the other, I'd probably go with an elite hitter, to be honest. I feel like that's been the reason why we haven't been able to get over the hump in seasons prior to last year was we just couldn't get the big hits in the postseason. And then last year we were just, we're getting blanked, putting up zeros a couple times. So I have faith in myself to become a good pitcher again, and I think Caden has potential too. He's a very good pitcher from, a more fast pitch competitive standpoint, so I think he can develop into MLW style too. So if I had to choose, I'd say I would want a absolutely dynamic hitter, but I want a guy who can do both.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
But good question. Good question.
Okay, so Jack, you managed to acquire Trevor Bonham from the Mallards, right?
That's correct.
And not only that, but not only has he displayed being a great pitcher, but he's also a really good hitter. And honestly, I feel so bad for Bonham not winning the Cy Young Award this year.
It's tough. It's tough competition.
Tough, yeah.
Jimmy Norr, he was such a great pitcher, won the MVP, all those accolades this year. I mean, really, really historic season. Congratulations to him. But if there's anyone I wanted to win the Cy Young Award, it would have been Bonham. I swear.
I was definitely pulling for Bonham. I think there was a lot of great competition. Jimmy, that award was well earned for him, well deserved. But I know Trevor will be in the talks next year, and I'm excited that he's wearing purple. That's for sure.
So Jack, do you feel confident? How confident are you for Trevor Bonham going into this year?
I'm very confident for him. I think that we've kind of touched on it on this show before, but it was a win for him morale-wise to come to the Magic, just because he's playing with some of his friends now that he's known, that he's grown up with. So I think just the comfortability with that, and as he just builds his confidence, builds off last season, his postseason that he had, I'm really excited for him. I think he's going to have a great year, and he's going to impress a lot of people next year.
Yeah, I definitely agree. With how good he did this year, and becoming almost a Cy Young contender, he led the league in strikeouts at one point.
Yes,
am I correct?
Yes, he did. I believe, right? Yeah.
And then Nick Saylor coming into this year, not only hitting dingers every day, like almost every series he was in. He had the potential, and I get Kyle said this at one point. He has the potential. He had the potential to lead the entire league in ERA. Like I feel like if Sailor can develop some other pitches, I feel like he has a very solid shot at winning a Cy Young award somewhere along the line.
Yeah, absolutely. If he's able to build up his arsenal a little bit moving into next year, I think he showed he could be dangerous on the mound. So I think he certainly could be in the conversation next year.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks for the questions, Cameron. Really appreciate you coming on the show. Congratulations for being a part of this special edition of Pipe It Up. And
thank you. I'm very, very honored to be here. It's my favorite podcast, and just to be on it is so awesome.
Cool.
Appreciate so guys, thank you so much for this. Thank you so much for the opportunity, guys. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in week after week. Appreciate it. And hey, go Mallards, baby.
I'm a D-backs fan, so
another one of those guys.
All right, we'll talk to you.
Don't worry, Tommy. Whenever the Mallards play, I'll root for you guys. Don't worry.
Thank you, appreciate it. Need all the fans I can get right now. They're few and far between. So thanks again, Cameron. We'll talk to you soon. All right, thanks again, Cameron, for calling in to the show. We're now going to conclude this special edition of Pipe It Up with a little interview from someone who does some work for MLW. So on the line with us now, we have Cole Story. Cole, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Cool. I've never actually talked to you or seen you in person, but we've communicated from time to time on Instagram as you've done some work for us. But tell us about yourself, for the fans listening and watching. What's your background? What do you do?
I'm Cole Story. I'm from Marietta, Georgia. Started taking graphic design classes in high school. I took classes 1, 2, and then 4. I got to skip 3.
Cool.
So my dad does the graphics for the football team, whatever sports, whatever up at the high school. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of how I got introduced to it and just fell in love with it.
That's cool. That's really cool. So yeah, Cole has done some graphic design for MLW stuff, including some things you've seen on Instagram for us, for our posts, some tournament logos, some alternate team logos, stuff like that. So what I want to know is, you already mentioned how you got started in graphics with your dad and being involved in sports and that kind of thing. But how did you find MLW, and then how did you actually get your foot in the door and get involved with us?
So I'm sure a lot of people you guys have seen, it's I found you guys during lockdown and started watching all that. Mm-hmm. So I binge watched 2-3 seasons. Knowing I'm wanting to get into the graphic design, sports marketing business, I kind of reached out to Kyle. Mm-hmm. It's hey, I'm not looking for any pay or anything. I'm just wanting to work with you guys, get exposure, whatever, kind of build up a resume. Mm-hmm. He said, well, we're not looking for a guy right now, but we might hook up with you later. Mm-hmm. So an entire year goes by, and then he reaches out about the Get North shirt. Mm-hmm. That was the first thing I did.
Yep.
So I feel like that was kind of cool. My test, my interview.
That was your test.
So awesome.
And you passed. That's one of our best-selling tees, I believe. So I guess it worked out for you, too, that Jimmy became a very popular player, even more so than when that shirt came out. So
yeah.
I love that T-shirt, too. I think it's so funny to see guys wearing it around, fans wearing it. It's so funny.
That shirt's legit.
But so you started with the Get North shirt. You get your foot in the door with Kyle. Kyle likes the design. I remember you sent us a few templates. We all reviewed them. Went with the one that ended up being sold on the website. So that goes well for you. I'm sure you're excited. But since then, you've done some other work for us. So what do you think is your actual favorite MLW graphic you've designed so far?
The one I just did, as far as Instagram graphics, my favorite is the Jimmy Norp Awards one that I just did.
Oh, that was cool. Yeah, it'll pop up on the screen right now. That was a very good one. Mm-hmm. And how long does something like that take you?
Some are relatively quick. I can get it done 30, 45 minutes. Mm-hmm. And then some of the more complex ones, I'll lose track of time, and all of a sudden I spent 4 hours on it. So
yeah. I mean, that happens to me too, trust me. I do some very rarely and occasionally I'll do some stuff for our Instagram or for promo videos, and yeah, I'm super slow too, but it seems like you've got it down to where you can make stuff in a half hour from time to time. So I'm sure anything else, the more you do it, the better and more efficient you get at it. So
yeah.
So you talked about how you're kind of building your resume right now. What's this is a great thing to have, obviously. We'd be happy to, give you any kind of recommendation you wanted to try to get, internship, job, whatever. But what is your end goal? Do you have that in mind yet, or you just know you love graphics and you kind of want to see where it takes you?
It's kind of the see where it takes me right now because I'm at a bit of a crossroads in life.
Okay.
But for a while, it was like I always wanted to be a graphic designer for like the Braves, Falcons, Panthers, whatever, just a pro sports organization.
Yeah.
And then now it's kind of a little up in the air. Still want to get into that sports world.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see where it takes me.
And I'm sure it's not easy, like a lot of things are in life. But I saw a cool story on Twitter earlier this season. I think it was like a graphics design intern or something like that, who was working for the Los Angeles Rams. I'm not sure if you saw this or not, but he had passed along a message or saw a message where he was like copied on asking the graphic designer for the team to try to submit designs to the end zone for SoFi Stadium. So this intern, lower level employee, he created one himself and submitted it kind of on a whim. And then he went out there the next day and just saw his end zone plastered on the field.
That's
so
unreal.
I think just things like that, like how this opportunity kind of worked out for you, where he just kind of shot his shot and took a little bit of a risk just to see what would happen, and it worked out for him. So I wish you the best of luck on your little graphic design journey. No doubt you have some talent. We like the stuff you do for us, and I think it just takes one opportunity. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's all it takes. It takes reaching out to someone on Instagram DMs, and it might take a year before they get back to you.
Yeah.
You got to put yourself out there.
Yeah, exactly. So I think a lot of our fans can learn that. So, yeah, you said you reached out to Kyle just through Instagram. Have you ever reached out to other, like, content creators or anything like that? Or what advice do you have on, like, a cold call or something like that for our other listeners who are interested in trying to work with us or other, big creators on YouTube?
Before I reached out to you guys, I reached out to Como.
Okay, yeah.
It was kind of the same thing. It's like, hey, we like your work. You just don't have room for you right now. Mm-hmm. I never heard back from them, but that happens. You got to shoot your shot a couple times before one lands. So
yeah, exactly.
So you got to keep trying. You got to keep putting yourself out there.
Yeah, I love how you specifically and other MLW fans I've seen, I love when people, like, you can tell, put a lot of effort into making, like, a graphic or some kind of stat, like, infographic type thing, and just send it to us. Like, without expecting anything in return, they'll share something like that with us, and then we may end up reposting it on our channel, that kind of thing. So I think that's another piece of advice, too, is don't always try to... If someone tells you no, you can always just go ahead and do it anyway. You know what I mean? And then send it to them and see if they ever see it. So, and not only that, but just the reps of doing things like that, of actually, like, trying to make some kind of graphic to make it look professional and good enough to show to someone maybe you're nervous to see it. That'll make you get better at it, too. So... Well, Cole, I look forward to working with you in the future. I actually have a opportunity I want to chat with you about here after this podcast. So we'll stay in touch, and I know you'll continue to do some good work for us.
All right, sounds good. Thank you guys for having me.
No problem. Thanks, Cole.
Thanks.
All right, thanks again to Cole for that phone call, for that interview. It's good to know him and actually put a name to a face for once. Check him out on Instagram. I believe he has a personal account and a graphic design account. I'll link both on the screen right now. Besides that, that's kind of a wrap, Jack. Anything else you wanted to include today?
I don't think I have anything, really. It was really cool to change it up a little bit. A little different environment here for the Pipe It Up pod. Had a lot of good guests on here.
Yeah,
so
it was a jam-packed episode.
It was exciting, yeah.
No time for any crazy stories or anything like that. Nothing too exciting happened to me, to be honest. I was talking about this mark on my face.
Oh, right.
It's a little embarrassing. But... I've done some weird sports lately. We went curling over winter break, and then my cousin, uncle, and I just yesterday went on a sporting clay course.
Okay.
You know, talking about like shooting, like skeet shooting or whatever you call that. So I'd never done that before. I have shot before, but just like at a range, just at targets, never at moving clays. And I have a good shot. I'll be honest, I have a good shot. Like with a BB gun or anything, I've always been like the best in my family at that. My extended family. So I go with my uncle, who does this quite often, and my cousin. This is my first time. So, the first couple stations, I was stiff as a board, doing the easy clays only, and I was hitting them. I was doing good. But then I started getting to the more advanced clays, in the 5th and 6th station. It was a 14 station thing. So I probably shot 4 per station. So I probably shot 60 or so throughout the whole day. And I ended up with 41% accuracy. Pretty good. I was best in the group.
Wow.
Some of them are hard. That's including the ones that are whizzing past you.
Yeah.
So what I was saying is the first advanced clay I attempted to do was one that went straight left to right, and it was so fast I moved the gun and then it kicked back and hit me in the face. I hit the clay too.
Nice.
I hit the clay too.
Nice.
But it was just it nicked.
You got something to show for it then.
Yeah, it just nicked it a bit. So a little embarrassing, rookie mistake, but after that point, I was kind of starting with the gun lower. And after that, I started with my armpit every time and never had any issues.
Well, the clay ended up a lot more busted than your face did.
For sure.
I think you won
but
that
it was
battle.
funny because when I got home, my mom was like, "Oh, what happened to your face?" And I was like, "Oh, it's from the shotgun." And she was like, "I think she shot like I thought I grazed myself with like a bullet." No. I was like, "It's just the recoil." It was so funny. Could you imagine? Yeah, I just grazed a little off the chin.
You've been getting active here with the alternative sports. I love it.
Active. That was fun, but I mean, I agree. It's like dangerous. It's like, is it worth the risk? You know what I mean? So, but I had a good time doing it. It was fun. I like shooting. It's a fun thing to do. But anyway, that's how I got this mark on my face. We'll see how long it takes to go. I think it's a good look. I think it makes me look tough. What do you think?
I think it looks great. I mean,
might as well scar up and be there forever. You know
yeah. What I mean? It's so fitting that the first video podcast we do, you get hit in the face with a shotgun.
No, it's okay. It's not bad. It's really small looking. But I remember some scars are. This would be a little much, I guess, on my face. But one time my dog scratched me really bad. It was on my arm. It looked pretty cool, but it went away. I was disappointed.
Yeah, scars are dope.
That'd be a good scar. I have this little forehead dent. You can zoom in on that thing. No, I was just kidding. But I have a little dent in my forehead because when I was a kid, I was one time running around in my grandma's living room and tripped and fell and hit their fireplace like stone. Split my head open. My parents were not there. I was being babysat, and they didn't take me to the hospital, so it just left this little bump.
My little sister's got a very similar one. We used to call her Harry Potter because it came right across her thing this.
Yeah.
And it was like kind of a similar thing. She fell off the bed and hit her head on the corner of the bed frame. Mm-hmm. That was some of the most blood I've ever seen, honestly. And
I don't know.
I was a very young child.
I was like 2 when this happened, so I have no memory of it. But I do know that I have the visible scar on my forehead, as well as if you feel my head, I have a horizontal dent in my skull. I'm not kidding. It's like a ridge. It's like my little ridge in the middle. So if you ever meet me in person,
crevasse in the middle
feel
of your
free
forehead.
to touch my head and feel my ridge. But yeah, that's probably why I ended up so stupid. I hit my head as a child. But we should wrap it up. It's been a good show.
Been a great show.
Definitely an interesting transition. It feels weird with the cameras looking at us. But it was cool. Nice little setup down here. Got our nice little MLW flag.
Loving it.
And
repping the Lions. Go Lions.
Go Lions. Yeah, we're filming this on the Sunday of week 18, so the last day of NFL football. But I'm sure you guys will see this probably about in a month or so. We'll see. But it's been a lot of fun. Thanks to our guests. Thanks to Caden. Thanks to Cameron. Thanks to Cole. Thanks to our production crew, a.k.a. Kyle Schultz back there behind the camera. And let us know in the comments what you guys thought of this. Our first time ever recording one. I'm sure I'll be miserable by the time this comes out with all the editing I had to do to get this ready. But hopefully it's worth it and you guys like it. So feel free to drop a comment. Let us know what you thought. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Be sure to check us out on anywhere you listen to your podcasts per usual. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all that kind of stuff. So check us out. And other than that, I think that's a wrap. Peace out, guys.
Folks. Peace.